Welcome back. It's still Business Daily reaching you from Trust TV studios here in Abuja. Now, before the break, I told you we're taking a look at the national single window. I'm sure you've heard about it. We've talked about it on the program, news and all that. But it's something that's coming, something that's going to happen and take place next year. And one of our top stories this morning was about the FIRS and the Nigeria Customs Service teaming up to fast-track this implementation of the national single window. Now, our guest wasn't able to join us this morning, so I'll just be doing a brief introduction and background, and hopefully tomorrow we'll get into the conversation with our guest more. Now, let's look at it. Now, the country is poised to transform trade operations. That's the plan, really, with the launch of the national single window, a centralized digitalized and digital platform that streamlines import, export and transit procedures through a unified interface. Now, it was announced in April of 2024 and was backed by the President Tinubu's administration. The initiative is designed to tackle Nigeria's notoriously cumbersome bureaucracy at ports and border posts. The project steering committee was inaugurated the same month, and a kickoff workshop followed to onboard agencies and assess technology readiness. Now, what is the real aim and reason for this? Now, what is expected through the national single window? Traders will submit all trade documentation electronically across agencies like Customs, Standards Organization of Nigeria, and NAFDAC via a single entry point. Now, I had some sort of graphics, but it's been, unfortunately, I couldn't have it for you to see, really. So it's just you put in your documents into the NSW, then it goes to a place where all these other agencies that need to certify and verify will look at it and just do it at once, at a go. Then you go and make your e-payments, and then you can now have your things. Now, you enjoy real-time tracking and visibility of applications and shipments. So you get to see what's happening when you've made your applications, where it is at now. Okay, of course, it's an online platform. So for everybody who is going to be doing this, you need to, of course, go and get yourself literate with what's happening online as well. So you get to see what's happening. You track the procedure, when it's left, when it's landed, at what point it is in the process. And, it should equally help to limit the whole time, of a lot of back and forth. Now, it's benefit from streamlined e-payments and reduced redundant data entry. Now, if this is implemented, it's the NSW's forecast to generate quite a lot of money. But let's keep looking at what it's going to do. Now, one of the key features, let me go back to these key features and goals, is a unified electronic platform. As I said earlier, traders will submit all things. Now, the streamlined process will harmonize. When we say streamlined process, it means that it will harmonize, integrate data, reduce bottlenecks and speed up clearance times and improve operational efficiency. Lower cost, I'm sure that's what we're all looking for. How to, put in little and get quite a lot out of it. Now, lower cost and higher transparency. Now, by digitizing procedures, the national single window is expected to reduce port transaction cost by at least 25%, plug revenue leakages, and make transactions traceable in real time. So apart from just you being able to see where your transactions are, where your clearance is going on, you should be able to equally reduce, the cost is going to take you to do that, really, if you're going to just do everything at one central point. Now, it's a boost to economic growth. It's projected to actually generate up to $3 billion annually. That's what the NSW is projected to actually achieve. And you know that we're aiming to have a $1 trillion economy here in Nigeria. Well, I know it's not that much, just about 3% of the $1 trillion economy, but then it's not bad if you could have $3 billion annually coming in. Now, the NSW is equally positioned as a key driver of Nigeria's $1 trillion economy ambition. So when we have that, you see, maybe annually we get $3 billion. In the next 4 years, that's about $12 billion. Maybe we'll get to our $1 trillion economy sooner rather than later. Now, implementation success depends, of course, on coordinated efforts from government agencies, private sector players, and trade associations. So everybody was supposed to partake in this conversation. We're supposed to do well to see that things go well, things happen, come together. Of course, you see, as you can see now, that the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Nigeria Customs Service are already teaming up to see that this becomes a reality come first quarter of 2026. That's the deadline that has been given to them to see that this becomes a reality. Now, also, the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority have been designated as the lead implementing agencies, while the steering committee is tasked with ensuring the system meets its Q1, as I said earlier, 2026 launch deadline. The platform is supposed to align and should align with global trade facilitation standards under the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement and positions Nigeria to compete with leading trade hubs like Singapore and Dubai. Now, why does the NSW matter? It's supposed to cut red tape. Now, eliminates duplicative procedures and reduces face-to-face interactions, helping fight corruption. One of the main issues, one of the main bottlenecks we have in our economy really is the issue of corruption. And this is supposed to help to fight corruption, reduce all that face-to-face interactions, just get the job done. You don't have to see anybody, say, have you seen me? All those kind of language in English, hopefully will be extinguished out of the whole conversation, and, just get straight to doing the things that you ought to do and getting your process out without, too many issues. Now, it's supposed to improve competitiveness, faster, more predictable clearance times, make Nigerian ports more attractive for investors. So if you know and you're sure that if I go and, decide to import something into the country or export something to Nigeria for business, I know that's going to take at least 1 week, give or take. Everything is going to come out in 1 week. You see that, it will help businesses. By the time more people are interested, are more invested, I wanted, okay, I could go there. I could go to Nigeria. I could go and do a business over there. I could go and, import goods, export goods there. The time for clearance isn't taking so long. There will be not so much bottlenecks. But, when I don't know how long it's going to take me right now to do this. If I do this, it might take me 2 weeks, 3 months. And, of course, the more it stays at the ports, the more demurrage, of course, it begins to carry. Now, it's going to drive fiscal reforms. Transparent and centralized data helps government track and collect trade-related revenues efficiently. So we're supposed to see more income coming in and being able to actually say this income is coming from this place, that place, that place. And then we know as a government, when we sit down and have the conversations, where we should drive and, put things into effect to see that, this is where it needs help, this is where it needs help, this is where we should put in more effort to see that things will go very well. So basically, that's what the national single window is supposed to do for us. It's supposed to help reduce trade issues, make it a lot more easier. So for everybody who's a business person, importing things into the country mostly, you get to know, get yourself acquainted with the processes, get to know what's happening, and so that therefore you could now get yourself ready, for the launch when it comes in, in the first quarter, that is January to March of 2026. Just don't wait till then. Get acquainted with the situation. If there are other countries who will use this model, find out how it works. Get yourself acquainted so you are not, taking unawares about the processes that would entail. Hopefully, of course, the steering committee will equally put out certain information as the time goes as to how these processes will work and to help Nigerians get better use and get better access to getting their products work. So yes, the national single window is supposed to come together and make life easy for traders who are doing business. It takes all of us to make this work. The government agencies, the private sector, the trade associations and organizations making this work to make sure that things get together and work for us. So yes, generating up to $3 billion in annual revenue, reduce logistical costs, imports by at least 25%, and of course position Nigeria as a regional trade hub akin to Singapore or Dubai and attract FDI. Now, also, it's supposed to align with the global trade facilitation standards under the WTA Trade Facilitation Agreement, I beg your pardon, Article 10.4, and the UN frameworks for streamlining border procedures. So you see, if you notice, some of the things that have been going on in this administration, under this current administration, is trying to get us to be a par with global best practices in certain things. So let's see how this works. Let's see how this turns out. Let's see what it will mean for us equally, to see how we could get more business into the country. Now, tomorrow on the program, we'll be having a guest who will discuss more, we'll look further into it. And some of the questions we'll be looking at is, can it actually deliver the $3 billion in revenue that we're looking at? Is it something that's feasible? Is this just some projections? Does the national single window have the ability to deliver $3 billion annually? We'll see how that. Now, of course, again, some of the issues again, can it actually cut port clearance times and costs significantly? Can it actually do that? We'll have that conversation on the program. Will the interagency coordination affect implementation success? So that means that everybody has to work together. Everybody has to be friends. The interagencies have to come together. The people that are involved in this have to find a way to work together to see to it that it gets implemented. So FIRS, NTS, SON, and the rest of them. Now, what's the role of private sector players in this change? And is there a roadmap of extending the NSW to land borders and custom posts? So yes, one of the things it's talking about is beyond just the port. It's actually equally meant to get to the borders as well. So hopefully when we move from the port, we'll be able to implement it further into the borders and see how we could all streamline our revenue in the country. Now, that's the much we have for you this morning. Tomorrow we'll have a fuller package where we'll look deeply into this conversation and see, more how it could work and how it could benefit you. Remember, how does it benefit the average Nigerian on the streets out there? How do these policies benefit you? Tomorrow we'll take a look at that on the program. I've been your host this morning, Chiamaka Nwafor. Thank you for joining us. For more of our news, programs, and documentaries, do want to follow us on our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. Same time, same place tomorrow. Bye for now.